Right, so people, I want to talk about what's next for Moses Ituama. Now, I've left this video 2 weeks, 2 weeks since his win over Dillian White, and there's a reason for that. It's because, first of all, I didn't want to make the video. Second of all, I was expecting some fights to get announced. That's exactly what happened. Now, on my list of opponents, Philip Hergovich would be number one. I don't think he's going to be in the ring by December when they want to get him out. He's got a cut that needs to heal. It's a bad cut. I don't think it's going to be healed in time, unfortunately. Um, so that discounts him. I'd want to get him. The main theme you're going to see is I want to get these guys in for rounds. I want Talma to go rounds, and Hergovich would, in my opinion, definitely take him rounds. Runner up, Jarrell Miller, who recently just had a fight cancelled against Michael Hunter. Reason I don't think this was happen. Frank Warren is obviously a Talma's promoter. Fabio Wardley was recently booked against Jarrell Miller and didn't happen. Jarrell Miller's a lot of recent fights have been cancelled. Not all of his fault, but he's tricky to book a fight against. And you don't really want to book a fight against someone who may not show up, especially if you're trying to build someone like an Ituama. You don't want to be rushing for a last minute opponent. You kind of want it to all be meticulously done. After that, my next another opponent would be Jermaine Franklin. Unfortunately, he's got a fight on the prelims of Crawford Canelo against Ivan Ditchko. And Ivan Ditchko was a very good amateur. Was around for a while. His the most notable thing he done as an amateur was probably lose to Anthony Joshua. But in my opinion, his most notable thing he done as an amateur was beat Bakidir Jalilov at least 4 times. Now, in the modern era of super heavyweight amateurs, Bakidir Jalilov is the gold standard, 2-time Olympic gold medalist. But ever since Ivan Ditchko went pro, he's kind of a bit like not Madrimov, a bit like Jalilov, has had a weirdly slow career. And I expect Franklin to probably get beat in that fight. He's going to be in there as a big puncher. He's very durable, Franklin. He's durable, awkward, and not a big hitter. That's why I put him in there against Ituama, because Ituama probably always beats him, but he might give Ituama a different look, and he might take Ituama rounds. With that being said, he's got a fight. And he hasn't been the most active, so I don't expect him to be back out there in September, even if he wins, in December, even if he wins. After this, I'd probably say Martin Bakoli, But Bakoli's a tricky one. Because I don't think that Bakoli would take him rounds, because at this point, with the weight Bakoli's at, he's going to have to take a crash diet and proper wear his body down to get down to that weight. The weight that he's going to need to be competitive against a guy like Atama. So I don't even think that's a fight. They could probably book it, and Atama would probably blow him out in a couple of rounds, and they'd be like, oh, that sucks. I really don't know. You want him to be active. I'd get him out in November. I wouldn't get him out in December, but maybe a Zhang. But Zhang don't take him rounds, but he's dangerous. So maybe that would take him rounds. It's tricky, isn't it? He's in a weird place because you don't want to rush him. You don't want to put him in there against Parker or Caballero, especially Usyk, because he doesn't deserve it. I don't think Chisora would take the fight, and I think he probably blows Chisora away. And I don't really want to see Chisora go out like that. I don't think Justice Hooney would take him rounds. He's quite chinny. He's a good boxer, but I think his chin's checkable. Fabio Wardley would be a fight, but Fabio Wardley, they're stablemates. That would be a fight though, because you don't want to get a bit reckless with Wardley, mate. Fucking hell of a puncher, tough man and all. He ain't gonna go down swinging. Like he ain't gonna see how when a town started putting shots together against Dillian was like, whoa. Wardley ain't gonna be like that. Wardley's gonna throw back. So that'd be a great fight, but they're stablemates. Ideally, if you just want to build a profile of a Tama, Joshua would be the fight next. I think he'd beat Joshua because I think Joshua's done, but they're also stablemates. Plus, it's just not a fight Eddie Hearn's going to want to fucking set up with Joshua, is it? Why would he do that? Um, it's Bacoli's the most eligible, right? It's Bacoli. You could put him in there against someone like a Jagba, but there's no name value there with a Jagba, even though he's had a draw with Bacoli. There's no name value there with someone like a Jagba, and you don't want to give him. See, you don't want to put him at British title level because it'd be nice to see him win a British title and that and do it properly. But we've already seen he's past that. You might say, yeah, well, Dillian White's not a world class opponent anymore. No, he isn't, but he's not a world class opponent anymore. And did Ituama deal with him in a round? It's not like Dillian White's not a world class opponent anymore, and Ituama's going 12 rounds with him. Dillian White's past his best, not a world class opponent anymore, and Ituama blew him out. Another opponent would be Joe Joyce. It's too slow though, so I don't even think he does. It's like you need a dangerous element, right? You need a bit of danger factor, but you also need it to be not too big of a risk. You need the risk to be Ituama can get outboxed due to experience, but he isn't going to get knocked out, and the guy's going to be able to take him rounds. And the people who can do that are Hergovich, Jerome Miller, I'd say. Bacoli can knock you out, but he's slow. And I saw in the Ajagba fight, there was like moments where you're thinking, just pick your feet up and double jab in, close the distance, and because he was doing his best work kind of up close in that fight, and he was doing some good work. But in the moments where Ajagba, who usually looks quite robotic, was actually looking quite fluid on the outside, Bacoli could, and I've seen him do it in the past, like he can just pick his feet up a little bit, close the distance quicker. But instead of doing that, he was kind of just plodding along, throwing single jabs, trying to close the distance, instead of picking his feet up and doing double jabs to close the distance. See, that's why I don't want to put him in there against Bacoli, because he's too unreliable. He's even going to come in there and look like a fucking world beater or not. There's other, like Jared Anderson. Don't think he does rounds, though. His defense is too poor. See, it's either Jarrell Miller, but you got to risk him not showing up. Which I'm not saying is his fault. Fucking, you get. You can either get the walk-in pharmacy in or Bacoli. And by the way, I'm not sure about Jerome Miller taking him rounds. He's got a chin on him, but Jerome Miller hasn't been in there with someone with the speed of Tama. Like, if you had to ask me who hits harder at just punching at face value, who's the bigger puncher, Dubois or a Tama, I'm going fucking Dubois. Like, if you let someone just punch you in the head, and you can see it coming, who's the harder puncher? It'd be Dubois. But that speed and the angles, they add to it. They say it's the shots you don't see coming. Speed and angles. So I say Joel Miller can take him rounds, but he hasn't been in there with someone with the speed and angles of an Ituama. He's been there with Dubois, who's got a big puncher, but Dubois isn't going to come in at an angle and throw 3 quick shots at you, which are going to catch you off guard and off balance and scramble you. Like, there's more to. That's a fight, actually. Actually, that's a fight. Dubois versus Ituama. Dubois apparently got a big fight in the works, or it's done apparently already. That's a fight because Dubois got a chin on him. I know he quits, but he's got a chin on him, and he hits very, very hard. But Itauma's kind of he's kind of stylistically suited to someone like an Itauma. You look at what because then you can compare it to Usyk, right? So southpaw, they're both quick. They've both got the angles. They're both layered, right? They pick their shots well. They put their shots together well. Town was more got the finishing advantage on Usyk, but you can compare them. Plus, I think he makes Dubois quit because I think Dubois got an issue where he doesn't mind trading. If he can hit you and you can hit him, he doesn't mind. But if he can't hit you and you can hit him, he capitulates and just fucking switches off. The Joyce fight. or if he can hit you and you don't react, right? The Joyce fight, he was kind of hitting Joyce, but Joyce's feet looked very good in that fight. He was hitting Joyce, but Joyce was kind of moving back, just taking the sting out of it and not reacting. And he took a knee and he quit. He did have the Iron G though. It's the second Usyk fight. The first Usyk fight didn't get hit in that fight. Did Usyk really with anything significant? And he was pinging Dubois' head off, and Dubois literally just quit. The Usyk rematch, he was getting beat. But the thing is with the Usyk rematch is if he because he could have got back up. If he had just got back up and said, "Fuck it, I'm going to bite down on the mouthpiece and just come forward and come at you," for a guy like Dubois who hits that hard as a heavyweight, do you know how much more of a chance that gives you? Just being able to grit down and do that. That gives you a chance. So you can't say, yeah, but he was never going to win that fight because he didn't have a chance. No, he's a heavyweight. He's a heavyweight, man. Fuck off with that bullshit. He's a quitter. He's a fucking quitter. Shit the bed. He shit the fucking bed majorly. Um, Shit the bed majorly. Just, that might be a fight. But that's just my thoughts on some eligible opponents for Ituama. It's a tricky one to call because you don't want to rush him and put him in there against a guy who's going to beat him. But if you're going to put him in there against some guy who's going to beat him, you don't want it to be a damaging defeat. You don't want to damage this young kid. You want him to lose, but he's going to learn, not have years taken off his career. So, which I don't think will happen anyway. But I'm thinking from a Frank Warren's kind of matchmaker's perspective. So yeah, the fights for me would probably be Bacoli, Miller, or Dubois. Those like the fight would be Hergovich, but I don't think he'll be available. I'd love it if he was. Um, Maybe Dubois got another fight though. Maybe his fight against Wardley, which would be a fucking great fight. But yeah, anyway, that's my thoughts on who Itauma should fight next. Bye.